So, I've been wondering about a thing lately. Why do people from the city always assume I'm cowardly or stupid when I say I'm afraid of dogs or when I'm hesitant to pet their dog or like push my hand away in case the dog turns? And I think I finally understand. And the reason is very simple. City people are retarded. Let me explain. I use retarded here not as an insult, but essentially developmentally challenged. Imagine it like this. You have a kid. There was a story like this. There was a woman who had a daughter. The daughter was born blind. But and the woman decided that the daughter was so fragile that she needed to carry her everywhere. That she wouldn't let her walk, she wouldn't let her learn to walk. And the girl's legs became so deformed and so weak from that even though she was born with healthy legs, she would never be able to walk in her life. In this case, her legs were quote unquote retarded. They lost a very crucial ability. They lost essentially an ability which they would have had if the mother wasn't overly cuddly. And I think that's the problem with city people. When a city person thinks of a dog, they think of this. They think of like a doggo who's like fluffy and friendly and you can walk up to and do basically anything to it. You can even have a kid be overly harsh and like pull on its hair or slap the dog or something like that. This is not what a dog is. That's what a castrated, chemically induced, brainwashed, and overly trained, bred for friendliness dog is. This is not a dog. This is a dog. This is its true fucking unadulterated form. I'm gonna tell two stories to share with personal here. I had once a dog. First of all, there's a different attitude. City people see dogs and cats as like, ooh, fluffy thingy I can cuddle with or like companions. That's not how those animals are seen in rural areas. They're seen as that, plus, dogs are supposed to guard the house, cats are supposed to kill the mice and rats and shit like that. So, I had a dog. He was pretty aggressive, but the thing with dogs is if you're the owner, they're gonna be friendly towards you. One time when I was playing with the dog, he found a shoe. Because I was a kid, I wanted to take the shoe back. What did he do? When I was trying to rip the shoe out of his mouth, he bit me on the hand. I, of course, panicked and thought he was a bad dog. What I didn't understand at the time is that the dog could have ripped my hand off, but he only lightly grazed me. He was telling me that he's higher in the hierarchy, it's his thing, and he's supposed to keep it. This is an experience a lot of people just don't learn. Their dogs are so docile, they will never show their true colors. But there, the dog was my dog. But if it was any other person trying to do that, that person probably would have been killed by that dog. And that's something that really happened to me one time. I was walking my dog. He's a very cowardly dog. And basically, there was this massive dog, which was probably some weird mutt between a German Shepherd and some Bulldog or something like that. And he started showing his teeth and being essentially very aggressive. It was pretty obvious he wanted to fight my dog, and my dog hid behind me. And I just knew at that moment he was looking at my throat. That's the one thing dogs always do. They look at your throat because they know that they're supposed to attack there. There's two ways to avoid a dog attack. One is curling up so that you have no exposed areas. Essentially, hands under you and head tucked down because that way they can't usually open their mouth wide enough to just bite anywhere. It's like a turtle. That's very stupid though because you don't have any guarantee the dog won't figure out that he can bite your neck from the back. Dogs aren't stupid. They're So instead, what I did is what my instincts told me to do. And in situations like this, you often don't think at all. I looked at the dog, I stomped my foot and basically screamed something similar to "Go fuck yourself" or something like that, but obviously in Polish because I'm Polish. The dog stood firm But I just kept looking at him. At some point, he relented. Why did he relent? Because of one very simple reason. I'm taller than him, and even though my dog was scared, there were still two of us. So he knew that he couldn't attack. And that's very for the very simple reason that if you had the dog saw you, he could have either considered himself stronger and attacked, which he was stronger, with a friend. Another thing that I did instinctively was put my arm out. That's actually something you definitely need to practice. The thing with dogs is they always go for the neck or the foot. That's why you have to stomp your foot forward so you can pull it back easily if the dog tries to bite it. And your hand forward so if it tries to go for your neck, its stand will break your arm. The other thing that's really not instinctive is if a dog bites your arm, you push it in deeper. That way it's not at his teeth, but behind his teeth on his jaw, where he can't really clench properly. And that way you can basically use it to break the dog's jaw, and a dog without its mouth is really basically useless at combat. So that's basically the thinking. The thing is, I didn't think of that stuff at the time. I grew up in a rural area. You learn to rest for two things in that area. If you grew up actually around nature, one, nature is nasty, two, animals are scary. It's not unusual to be chased by boars or by some fucking cows which the farmer didn't look at properly. It wasn't that much of a rural area, it was a town of 20,000 people. So just learn. Oh, another important rule. If a herbivore is charging you, you just run, because herbivores only ever attack in self-defense. So if you show that you're running away, they will just stop running. But if it's a predator, it will chase after you out of instinct because it sees that you're scared. And if you're scared, that means that you're weaker and that you're easy prey. So if it's a predator, basically always just try to make yourself as intimidating as it is. This is a boar. They're nasty facts. If you really think about it, you'll think, ooh, like a wolf or a dog and a boar, they would definitely win because a boar is like fluffy and stuff. You see, no. Wolves don't attack boars. They basically never do unless they're starved. And that's because a boar can usually beat the shit out of a dog. Boars have extremely. First of all, this one is weird. It doesn't have tusks. Usually, if they have tusks, they could just on the side of the map, they could probably tear you to shreds. And they're usually also much rounder and a bit brownish, like brown reddish, at least where I'm from. A boar has, for example, let's say you have a 9mm pistol. You wouldn't be able to kill a boar with that. You need to either hit it on the underbelly, where its fur is softer, into its eye, which you see is very small, or on the inside of its mouth. The caliber of the projectile is just too weak and it wouldn't be able to penetrate a boar because, first of all, they have very thick hide, and second of all, their fur is really harsh and really hard. It's like you probably could do it from a short distance, but if a boar is a short distance of you, you probably should use a stick or something or a knife instead of trying to shoot it. Guns are not for close quarters combat. They're basically just like a knife which breaks your arm if you hold it in a wrong angle. You have to use actually a proper rifle. The good thing about boars is they will basically only ever attack you if you either come too close or it's a mother who just gave birth. Those are fucking nicely. The bad thing about boars is there's never just one boar. No, 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 no. If there's only one boar chasing you, then you're lucky. Because, well, they are pretty quick. If you're running in a straight line, it will catch you if you really pissed it off. But they're bad at turns, so always do a zigzag. That's actually one of the first things you usually learn in a rural area, at least in Poland, that one, boars are bad at zigzag, two, boars are bad at running, three, they can't climb trees, but if you climb a tree, they usually will like hit their head against it to make you fall down. Then they're pretty nasty. Again, city people don't understand it. They just fucking don't understand it. They think, oh, we can't have feral cats because that's bad because they're suffering. We need to like catch them all. And then I walk around through like one of the big city I live in now. And there's just fucking rats everywhere. True, there is no feral cat, But there's a fuck ton of rats. There's literally was a rat chilling at a bus stop, and when it saw me, it perked up. I looked at it, it looked at me, I came closer. It just sat back down and continued eating. They're not even afraid of humans. And the problem is, though, you say, oh, what's the difference if there's a lot of rats and a lot of cats? Cats are a species which is kind of symbiotic to humans. They don't spread disease. They don't bite humans. Basically, I never saw a cat bite a human. Even a feral one, at most it will scratch you. A rat? No, 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 no. A rat will bite you. A rat will scratch you, and a rat will give you the Black Death, like there's currently in California. This lack of understanding of nature can be explained also by the attitude of forest by city people. If you ever play a video game and you walk into a forest, let's say you play that weird Czech game about that knight, you Zbyszek who Hercules, you walk into the forest and it's so beautiful. Clear skies, pretty trees, nice hunting grounds. And at that point, you know, that person was never in a fucking forest. I mean, they probably were in like walking paths or in like mountain passes and shit like that. And they can appreciate the beauty of forests when the beauty is put on display. But they never were like mushroom picking or just like walking around like in the wilderness in a proper forest. Sometimes, first of all, ticks. You always get ticks. Second of all, sometimes there's just trees so thickly next to each other that you just can't pass. If you were in an area like this, oh boy. First of all, fire like ants which will just crawl all over you. Ants nests hidden like here, there's definitely one. There's probably one. Heck, there could be one here. And you just step in it and you just fall down, or there's just holes. You just slip and fall. Not to mention the spider webs, which are all conveniently around head height. So you just walk into a spider web, walk into a spiral web, and you can't, and unless it was rainy, you can't avoid it because you don't see it. Flies, stuff like that. Forests are nasty. There's a reason we live in cities. There is no just like, there is no of this pretty like you walk into a forest and take in the nature. There is walk stumbling into holes all the time and breaking your ankle because it was covered in knees. There's walking into spider webs and trying to get the fucking spider out of your face. There's getting ticks out of your clothes and body for like hours after getting back from the forest. Do I say forests are shit? No. One of the things I like to do is just go in the forest and wander around, but because it's fun. There's just something that pulls the human to it, but this is essentially the difference. A lot of people think that this is just, oh, it must be so great, forest and shit. It's not. They're not. It's not like these weird fake forest parks in zoos, which are made to be like nice to traverse. There's a reason we don't live in a forest. They're nasty. And that's why I think it's stupid that city people make up the majority of the population now. They don't have instincts. They haven't been hunting lizards when they were kids. They haven't been chased by animals. They haven't actually been ever in a proper forest. They have been taken from them what I would essentially describe as an essential human experience. They didn't develop their instincts at all. They do have an instinct where they yearn for nature. But this is the instinct I had when I was 5. It was, ooh, look, a shiny lizard, I wanna catch it. It was, ooh, a forest, I wanna go there. Because they never went beyond that. It's as if, let's say, they always were crawling their whole life but never learned to walk, but always dreamed of starting, of like the idea of walking but never started it. And they didn't understand that you can get calluses, and they didn't understand that you can trip and fall, but it's still worth it. And that's the thing with nature. It's still nice. It's still nice to explore, but those people simply need to understand that there's a reason why we try to control it and get away from it. It's simply that. City people are retarded, and they are very retarded. And I'm not a coward for being afraid of dogs. They're just stupid. Good night, goodbye, good night, and have a nice sleep.